We've got a great show lined up for you here on Retiring Well, talking about how to analyze your retirement. There's so many different facets. The rule of 55 for 401k withdrawals. How does that actually work? And then Art's going to be talking through Kids Corner, where saving and budgeting, some basic examples there, as well as lastly, how to transfer your nest egg into retirement income. All this and so much more coming up right here, right now on Retiring Well.
Retiring Well, brought to you by Centennial Wealth Advisory, financial advisors specializing in retirement planning and serving all of Northern Michigan. Retiring Well, helping you plan for a successful and comfortable retirement. Retiring Well, plan to retire well.
One of the most common questions that I get asked from prospective clients is, can I retire? And it's a great question, and it's a question that I absolutely love answering for people. And really what it boils down to is crunching those numbers. Okay, I need to have your income, your expenses, how much you've saved for retirement. And I go through and I crunch all those numbers, and then I can say, yes, you can. You've worked hard enough, you've saved enough, and you can retire. But when we're looking at retirement, it's more than just those investments and income planning and so forth. We're looking at basically a 1,000-piece puzzle, okay, in retirement. There's so many different pieces of that puzzle that we need to work all together to make sure that you're living the life you want to live in retirement. And so me crunching the numbers on my own and then just telling you, yes, it works, yeah, that's okay, but I want to see a visual, and most of my clients, they want to see that visual as well. So one of the tools in our toolbox here at Centennial Wealth is a program called Retirement Analyzer, and it really helps us put that puzzle together so that you can see all these pieces coming together and see that visual in retirement. So let's go through a scenario here just to show you how this really does help you see retirement 10, 15, 20 years down the road. So here we have John and Jane Smith. Okay, let's say that they're both age 62, they're retired now and on Social Security. So one of the big things that I need to get is, okay, income, expenses, and assets, right? So let's say that John, his Social Security is $1,800 a month. Jane, she was a stay-at-home mom, and she didn't earn a lot until later in life, so her Social Security is only $1,000 a month. And then the Smiths, hey, they're lucky enough that they have a pension, where most people don't nowadays. And so let's say that that pension is $1,200 a month. So their guaranteed contractual lifetime income is $4,000 a month. That's awesome, right? All right, well, next up, what about the expenses, okay? And if you haven't sat down and really crunched the numbers on your budget and determined what your expenses are and you're approaching retirement, please, that should be the first thing that you do, okay? Add up everything, all your debt, any kind of utilities, food, and don't forget fun, okay? Retirement, you want to have fun as well. So for the Smiths, let's say that their expenses are $5,000 a month after taxes, okay? And then what do you have saved for retirement? You've been working 30, 40 years. What does that nest egg look like? Well, for the Smiths, let's say that they have $500,000 saved for retirement. Okay, I'm just going to put it under John's name, and it's all pre-tax. Obviously, this program can go through all the different tax bucket accounts and so forth. We'll just keep it simple and do pre-tax. So $500K saved. Well, what is this going to do in retirement? How is it going to grow? And so I like to be more on the conservative side and just say, let's grow it at 4.5%. You're probably thinking, Nick, come on, we can do better than that, right? Well, maybe, right? I mean, right now in today's world, you can get a CD paying north of 5 at the bank, right? But you're not going to have every year be positive, right? You're going to have good years, you're also going to have bad years. So I always like to be on the more conservative side. So let's throw in there just 4.5% for a rate of return. So what does this all look like? We've got the guaranteed income sources, we've got the retirement assets, what you got saved, and then the expenses. How does this translate into retirement? Well, here on this screen, you can see we got all the numbers and we're putting them to the road now, okay? And based on all the guaranteed income sources, your expenses and so forth, they have a shortfall of just north of $1,000 a month, okay? So where are we gonna get that from? Well, the $500,000 that you have saved for retirement. And then if we take this out till age 85, just for an example, you'll see that with inflation and so forth, which we're accounting for that in this program, that their expenses went from $5,000 a month all the way up to close to $7,000 a month. But what's really interesting, you'll see on the far right there, their total retirement balance is now more than what they started with. And you're probably thinking, well, that's crazy. They're pulling money and yet their portfolio is still growing. Well, it's because their withdrawal rate is only at 2.72%. And if we're showing it's growing at 4.5%, that means that their money is going to keep growing until inflation eventually catches up to them. So in this scenario, yeah, it works. The Smiths, they can retire. Obviously, there's lots of different variables that go into this and lots more pieces of the puzzle for retirement. But this is just one great way that we can help you visualize and see what retirement by the numbers might look like for you over the next 10, 15, 20 years down the road. So if you want to see that, please don't hesitate. Give us a call on the number on the screen. We'd be happy to go over that with you.
You made it. Years of hard work, investing, planning, and now you're here. The long-awaited reward you spent a lifetime looking forward to. But what now? After years of growing a nest egg, now you may want to manage it. Use it to fund your dreams. Make it last as long as you need it. And leave some for those you love. So what do? Wall Street continues to be uncertain, and some conservative options have dropped through the floor. How do you maintain opportunities for growth and reduce risk of loss from market changes? That's where we come in. We are financial professionals. From investments and insurance products to tax reduction strategies and guaranteed retirement income you cannot outlive, provided by the claims-paying ability of insurance companies. You've worked a lifetime to get here. Let us help you enjoy it to the fullest. For a complimentary consultation, simply contact us today.
As you are planning for retirement, where's your journey taking you? Do you know where you are going? How are you going to get there? And what's the best route to take? Do you have a personal retirement roadmap? At Centennial Wealth Advisory, we specialize in retirement planning, and we have designed a complimentary retirement roadmap video series that can be customized based on your personal circumstance and preferences. There is no cost and no obligation. Simply go to cen-wealth.com/roadmap and provide us with some basic information that will guide you to your on-demand, customized retirement roadmap video. Planning is the first step to succeeding. Plan to retire well.
Good morning, everyone. Today I want to spend some time talking through a trend I've started to see develop over the last few years. We've started to see this movement that's been coined the FIRE movement. FIRE stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early. The retire early is somewhat subjective. The problem that we've been seeing, though, over the last few years, really starting with COVID into the last, I would say, 1 or 2 years, is there's been a lot of stress put on employees by having extra workload attached to them because we're not dealing with proper staffing inside of employers, and they're getting essentially just burnout, and they're looking to retire early. The problem with that is they're making this decision a little bit later in life and haven't done the proper proactive planning to have the tax diversification in their portfolio to really allow for the liquidity to retire early. So when I'm using the term retire early, to me, I define that as prior to age 59 and a half or prior to your Social Security age of, say, 62. So if we're retiring early, we may not be able to access our investment accounts to supplement that gap of income and expenses. So we're going to spend some time talking today about different withdrawal rules, specifically inside of our 401k, a rule of 55 that allows you to potentially have access to funds a little bit earlier than you may have in some of these other investment accounts. So we've seen over the years is this transition to retire early. The problem is we've all been trained, we just got to save to our pre-tax 401ks. Put as much money in there as we possibly can and we'll kind of figure out the rest later. The problem with that, though, is, well, you may not have access to those funds. So if you do what most people do, and when you retire or separate from service, a lot of individuals will roll that 401k over to their IRA. Well, the problem with that is if all of your funds are in an IRA, you can't touch those funds until you're age 59 and a half without incurring some sort of 10% penalty from the IRS. There is a rule around that using what's called an SEPP, which stands for Substantial Equal Periodic Payments. Very specific rules you have to follow with those, where you lose a lot of flexibility in how you can go use your assets. If we have money in Roth IRAs, we can access our contributions up to a certain limitations, but we can't necessarily touch our growth till 59 and a half. If you've been doing conversions, there's a 5-year rule you need to be worried about. Certainly worth working with your tax professional if that's a source of where you're looking to pull funds from in this early retirement. If you have a 457, a little bit more options there as far as how those plans are structured. With the 401k though, we traditionally think that's 59 and a half as far as when we can use those funds. Well, actually, if you separate from service, in the age you turn 55, so if you separate, say on your 51st birthday, you can actually access those funds and not have a 10% withdrawal. So it's an important planning tool when you retire. A lot of times, again, you're just thinking, well, I'll roll it over to my IRAs, consolidate everything, have more investment options, all great ideas. However, you may be limiting yourself on how you can access these funds. So recent example, working with a client who separated from service, happens to be 56, so we know we're past that age 55. Not really sure what he wants to do with the funds, looking to potentially retire. We need a couple years though till he's going to have access to his pension. So as they're looking at building out his investment portfolio, we want to make sure we leave funds back in that 401k plan to make sure he has liquidity to supplement the next couple years of retirement expenses if he needs them. So it's a really important tool to allow us to have that liquidity to make sure that there's no surprises. Now, you're not forced to retire, so you can go back to work. But an important piece to this is it has to be your most recent 401k plan that you're using. So it can't be a 401k plan from, say, 20, 30 years ago. It has to be the 401k plan that you just retired from that this rule applies. To me, this is really a plan B. You want to start with the proactive planning and really building out your investment portfolio to look at all these different areas that you can be saving in. So you may want to be using Roth accounts, using IRAs, even using potentially cash value inside of life insurance. Or if you have 457 plans, 403b plans, all those rules work a little bit different. The key is you want to be proactive in looking at all these different areas. So if you are of that notion of you want to retire prior to age 55 or our traditional retirement age, we have adequate liquidity inside of our portfolio so there's no guessing of where we're going to pull funds from. We also want to think through from a health insurance standpoint. If everything you're pulling out is coming from your 401k balance and you're looking at going on the marketplace for health insurance, well, you may be limiting your subsidies for your premiums because you're adding more income to your return. So again, this is a good rule to know that's available to you if you're put in a situation where you have to retire, but certainly if you're in that 5-10 years to retirement or sooner, definitely worth spending some time discussing the different available plans out there to make sure you're giving yourself liquidity and also controlling some of your health expenses down the road.
When you have confidence in your retirement future, you can live the life you've always imagined. Because of planning, you now have time to reflect on the wonderful memories of your life. You and your spouse finally have the luxury of leisure time together. To spend fun times with your grandkids, sharing the joy of their excitement about life. Smiling at the thought of quality time with your children and of picking up the check. At last, you have time to breathe and rekindle the love of your life. Why? Because you imagined what could be. You planned for retirement. So today, you own your future.
If you are nearing retirement or already retired, we invite you to an informative live event to help you plan to retire well. Call 888-608-5825 or register online and choose the date and location that works best for you. The live event starts at 6:30 p.m. and is free to attend with a complimentary gourmet dinner to follow. But seating is limited and tends to fill quickly. Call 888-608-5825 or register online to reserve your seats today. If you like watching Retiring Well, make sure to go to youtube.com/retiringwell and click the subscribe button to never miss any of our TV shows and other informative videos.
Welcome to Kids Corner here on Retiring Well. I'm blessed to be joined with my beautiful daughter Faith today. She's one of our 5 children. And we're going to be here talking today about fun ways to teach your children about saving and budgeting. So Faith is also joined by a very special guest today. Faith, who do we have here?
This is my 5-year-old Holland Lap named Milo.
So Faith, as you see here, has her bunny with us today. And this is Faith's bunny that she's had for a short time. Some friends of ours, family friends of ours, their children were grown and left the home, and this bunny was kind of left behind, if you will, as the children went off and spread their wings, and they offered it up to that. And, we thought, my wife Michelle and I thought it would be a fun way for Faith to kind of continue her financial education and also teach about responsibility of pet owning. So Faith, what are some of the things that on a day-to-day basis that you have to buy and provide for Milo?
Milo needs food and bedding for his cage and clean water and cuddles.
Cuddles. Good job. So one thing with a pet, whether it's a bunny or a kitten or a puppy or if even a goldfish for that matter, there's certain needs they're going to have just like us as humans, right? And so with Faith here, she's responsible for earning. We've set up already established ways for her to earn money through us, whether that's chores and activities, helping around the house, stuff like that. And then Faith has a budget for the bunny. She understands that when we go to her favorite stores, the pet stores are locally here, and shopping, that things cost money. Just recently, when looking at foods and treats, right, stuff like that, that she understands that there's different costs associated with that. So we're getting kind of a double benefit when we're doing this. One, understanding the value of a dollar and what stuff costs, and two, that to take care of something, some of these are repeating costs, right? So Faith, what are some of the things that you and Milo like to do or enjoy to do together?
Sometimes I sleep with him, and I like to clean his cage and give him baths.
And as you see, apparently we like to dress him up.
Yes, he likes to wear clothes.
Right. So it's been a fun experience for Faith to have the bunny. Not only, again, from the enjoyment factor for her to have this pet that she's grown and loved to and they've adapted together, but again, I can't speak highly enough of how well this has gone for her to learn and continue to her education about finances. She talks about the responsibilities of the pet there with the different things that she has to do to care for it and love it, show compassion and all that sort of stuff. But again, having kind of a written out budget, and when we go to the stores, understanding that cost. Having Faith have to dip into her piggy bank or savings that she has in money to buy these various things really starts to teach the value of what this money is. And also, again, having her decide on some things. Faith, I took you to the pet store recently, and there was an item there I remember that you were like, I don't think he needs it that bad, right? I forgot exactly what it was, but I remember you saying, no, for that price, I don't think he needs it. And so we start to realize that as adults we deal with that, right? That's a little pricey. I don't think I need that right now. And so she's getting to experience that at a young age to learn about that value of that. And understanding too the fact that if something costs X number of dollars, she has to do X amount of work to earn that money. So again, the concept of having a pet to be able to learn about savings. Again, I say this often in our Kids Corner segments. Experiences last longer with children. They create memories, and physically and actively acting these out go much further than just telling somebody or showing it on maybe a textbook or something like that. Having them live these experiences so they can help develop memories goes a long way. So if you're somebody out there, hopefully you found it fun, hopefully you found it entertaining to meet Milo here on the show today, and also gave you a few ideas maybe to help your children and grandchildren learn about finances so they can be successfully set up for a positive financial future that helps them grow and save well into their years.
Your grandchildren are precious to you. They are your life. This is your time to have that special relationship. Taking care of yourself is taking care of them. Centennial Wealth Advisory is offering a free, no-obligation retirement review to make sure you don't run out of money during your retirement. Centennial Wealth Advisory. Your best is yet to come.
Make the most of Social Security. Although Social Security isn't designed to cover all of your income needs, it's an important part of the retirement puzzle. Download our free booklet on the Social Security decisions at cen-wealth.com and learn how to optimize Social Security for your situation, why timing is so important when it comes to your benefits, ways to supplement your Social Security, and more. There is no cost and no obligation. Simply go to cen-wealth.com, scroll down, and click the download link to get your free booklet on the Social Security decisions.
Hey, welcome to this segment on how to transform your nest egg into retirement income. You spend a lifetime working, preparing, strategizing to get to that next season of life called retirement. And what we're going to do today is we're going to figure out how we can best strategize that transition. What should we be looking for? I mean, we are filled with a world of economic uncertainties and rapidly changing financial landscapes, and so it can be very worrisome. So what we want to do is make a list, and then let's start figuring it out. First thing, let's establish clear financial goals. Here's my suggestion. Start with ideal. Start with the ideal retirement that you've been dreaming of, and then you work to make it real. You figure out, how do I start with ideal and then make it real? Well, it's going to take some work. It's going to take a lot of planning, but that's something that we get to do all the time, and it's super rewarding. So paint that picture. Go out to the front porch. Just be sitting in your rocking chair. Just figure out, what does the best ideal retirement look like, and let's start getting some clarity on what those financial goals might be in order to make that ideal real. The next thing is you want to determine your risk tolerance. So the great little acronym for risk tolerance is, how much risk can you take? The first one is capacity. Okay, how much could you lose and still have your income plan work out? Oh, I could lose 10% and still be okay. All right, I could lose 50% and still be okay. All right, but knowing that number is important. How much could you lose and still be okay? The second thing, though, is, what is your attitude on that risk? Hey, I don't want to lose any money. Well, we don't want to be in something that could lose 50%. So, your attitude on loss and risk. And then the last one is the most important, I think, is figuring out, what is your need for risk? We have an income planning tool that will calculate that number right down to a decimal point. This is how much risk they would need to take in order for that plan, their ideal, to work out. The next thing is to diversify your portfolio. You hear this a lot, but what it typically means is diversify in stocks and bonds, commodities, real estate, and that's good, but I might challenge you to take a step back and say that's all market risk investments. What kind of no market risk investments are out there? Are there CDs that might fit in there right now? Are there fixed annuities? Fixed indexed annuities? Are there these no market risk vehicles that should be a part of your plan? To me, that's diversification. Diversify your risk further than just the stock market or bond market risk. The next one is following a disciplined investment strategy. Anytime you're getting close to retirement, emotions are high. And if you don't have that disciplined strategy, you can make those knee-jerk reactions that then looking back is like, well, that was a dumb decision. And so, making sure that you have that investment plan and that strategy in place can really help. Statistically, it'll help you stop those impulsive behaviors and get those more consistent returns. The next thing is to know your fees, know how much you're paying, and if you're paying too much, okay, then, well, what other alternatives are there? Maybe you look into low-cost index funds, or like I said, there's, this interest rate environment is offering some pretty attractive rates for CDs or fixed annuities or fixed indexed annuities where, they're always subject to change, the rates are, but getting north of 5% is pretty common right now. So just looking at what kind of fees you're paying is important. The next thing is to do a little R&R. You need to regularly rebalance your portfolio. As you're transitioning this, we need to review it and rebalance it, R&R. The next thing is to look at your tax efficiency plan. That's one of the things that we do, probably top 2 things we do here is tax planning, tax efficiency, and that's creating a long-term tax plan that is reviewed every single year for missed opportunities or tax advantaged opportunities that once you have your tax timeline, you can really make an efficient tax plan, and it's awesome that we get to help people do that. The next thing is plan for inflation. Things are going to be costing more, so put that into your income plan as you're transitioning to those retirement years. Stay informed and adapt. That's why we love that you get to watch this show. We hope that we can add that information that helps you understand where you're at and what you should be looking and the questions that you should be asking. And the last thing is, you might want to seek professional advice. There's an image that has a brain that is full of all red, working super hard. That's a brain that has spent 15 minutes trying to figure out financial solutions by themselves. And right next to it is a brain that's only red in one area, the auditory part. And the rest is not red because that's a brain that's not working hard other than to listen to that professional advice. So if you're sitting there and you would like a free, no obligation consultation, feel free to give us a shout. Have a great day.